Hey guys, it's Catherine Morgan here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now this channel is here to bring you short but powerful videos to help you to navigate both the emotional side of money, our relationship with money, and the practical steps to help you to reduce financial anxiety and become more financially empowered to deserve wealth, grow wealth, and create wealth. My name's Catherine and I'm a qualified financial planner and international multi-award winning financial coach. That's a bit of a mouthful. So welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button and do leave me a comment below and let me know what was your biggest takeaway from listening to this video. Speak to you soon. Hi everybody, it's Catherine here. So this morning I wanted to share with you my 5 top tips on how to start saving and actually enjoy it. Now the message in this video is about how money is so emotional. Morning Deborah. Money is really emotional. Money conjures up so many different emotions for all of us. Guilt, shame, fear, insecurities, happiness, joy, pleasure, all of these emotions that sit around money. So my tip number 1 is to make money, to make the idea of saving money more exciting than spending money. So that my first tip is to make it a personal competition between your future self and your past self. Now I'm going to share a little secret with you. I actually love spending. Yep, that's right. The lady who's built a successful money business and actually teaching people about how to manage, make, save and build their wealth. I actually love to spend money. Now, the emotion that if I take myself back to my 20s, the emotion that I felt and the emotional relationship I had with money was guilt, shame, fear, because I'd already spent money in my head and sometimes physically on credit card debts before I'd actually even received my salary. So as soon as I received my salary, there was that instant guilt and shame of I actually already spent it. Now for me, working through, sorry, I've got hair in my mouth, working through changing that relationship was about how I managed the emotion around money. But it was more than that. It was more than just changing the emotion. It was actually giving myself a reason to make it as exciting, if not more, to save than it was to spend. So have a little competition with yourself. Maybe take your age and for this week, focus on saving that amount of money. It doesn't need to be big. I'm a massive believer in it's small steps, big wins. So take your age. If you're in your 20s and listening to this, it's going to be much easier for you than if you're in your 40s or your 50s. But, just take a really simple challenge for yourself. So I'm 37. There you go. I've told the world now I'm 37. And so if I wanted to challenge myself to save £37 this week, how am I going to do that? But then my tip number 2 is about building momentum. So I know that's a small example I've just given you there, but build some momentum. Make it as exciting to save as it is to spend. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Gareth. Hi, Eileen. Gareth is my husband, by the way. Gareth, are you listening from work? But no, thank you for listening. I think this is the first time you ever listened to one of my Facebook Lives. So tip number 2 is build momentum. Now, this is really important and this is why it's really important to set smaller goals as well as bigger goals, because if you just set mammoth goals and you don't achieve them, then you can kind of feel a little bit kind of demotivated to do anything else. So this is about saving small goals. One of the things I talked about on my Facebook Live yesterday was about actually if you're saving money. So Gareth has just done our car and home insurance renewals and he's saved us money. So what we need to do is to put that money we've theoretically saved in a savings account, rather than just kind of thinking theoretically that we've saved it, is actually save the money that we have saved on our insurances. How often do we do that? We don't tend to do that. We theoretically think we've got a bargain because we've theoretically saved money, but we haven't actually saved it. So tip number 2 is to build momentum. let me tell you a little bit about building momentum actually before I go on to the final tip, because I think the emotion that I felt when I was enjoying spending, and I still enjoy spending now, but I also enjoy saving. I enjoy saving and investing far more than I enjoy spending. And the emotion that I used to feel was very much less positive. So it was about feeling shameful and guilty and all of those negative associations that we have with money. But the positive aspects, if you think about it, from saving and investing, was I feel in control, I feel safe, I feel proud of myself, I feel secure, I feel like an adult. Like, I hear this a lot. Finally feel like I'm taking control and being responsible with money. I didn't feel responsible dealing with money in my 20s. Morning, Kat. Morning, Alex. So learning how to save and actually thinking about the positive emotions that are attached with saving and investing far outweigh the emotions that we feel when we're spending. Now, I'm not saying that spending doesn't conjure up some positive emotions, but they typically tend to be temporary positive emotions. So, you get that buzz, that high when you just bought a new handbag or a pair of shoes or whatever your vice is, you get that temporary high. Then often what happens once that temporary high disappears is it falls off the cliff, and then you start to feel negative emotions. Whereas with saving and investing, you don't ever get that negative emotion. The only time that you ever feel a negative emotion when you're building wealth is when something happens that's outside of your control, i.e. the stock market may wobble. Now, that's a whole different Facebook Live to do around the behavioural emotions that we feel around what happens when the stock market starts to go up and down, because that's all to do with different types of behavioural emotions. Loss aversion is a very common one with the stock market. So we feel losses greater than we feel gains. And this is why when the market goes down, most people tend to come out of the market. And another behavioural emotion that comes in there is called herd mentality. So you follow the crowd. Everybody else is pulling out of the market, so I'm going to pull out of the market. Everybody else is saying that don't buy property right now. It's not a good time to be buying property, so I won't buy property. It's herd mentality. We follow the herd. So there's lots of behavioural human biases that can affect how we behave around money. Tip number 3 is to save for something that you really, really want. This is really important. Don't just save for saving's sake. Have a purpose. So if someone comes to me and says, I want to save or invest some money, one of the first questions I ask them is, what are you saving for? If you're saving for a new house in 2 or 3 years' time, then you've got to keep it in cash because you haven't got the time to consider going into things like investment, the stock market, for example. But what's the purpose behind why are you saving? Because when you have purpose, you have passion. So give yourself a purpose, label it up. One of the things I love about Starling Bank, who I bank with, is that I can label up my goals, I can put pictures behind them. It really helps me to build momentum and also encourages me to save. I can automate it if I wanted to as well. So find a way that can build momentum and give you a purpose to make sure that momentum doesn't fall off that side of the cliff. Tip number 4 is to make it visual. So for those of you that are very visual, I am a very visual person. I like having things on my walls that can, vision boards and things like that can help me to visualize something. I actually at the weekend decided to purchase a dining room table, which I've been saving for like 18 months. And the interesting thing about that is that when I started saving for this dining room table, I just really wanted to buy it, like there and then, because I'm very spontaneous. My natural reaction with money is very spontaneous. The urge was so high to just buy that thing straight away. And I'm sure you can resonate with this. If there's something that's on your wish list, you just want to get it right away. It's that instant gratification. So one of the things that I did is made it visual, and I saved. And actually last year, I actually met my goal and I had enough money in that account to buy the dining room table. But I decided that all of a sudden, it wasn't as valuable as it was prior when I started saving for it. So I moved the money somewhere else, and I started rebuilding again. So one of the positive things about saving for something that you really want rather than buying it straight away is that actually your brain will start to rationalize, do I really need this or do I really want this? It's this battle between need versus want. And then my 5th and final tip is make it achievable. So don't make a savings goal or investment goal really out of your reach. You can have big goals, but make smaller goals along the way. It's all about changing habits, making things easy for yourself, and actually having something at the end of it that's going to congratulate yourself for reaching that goal. Because when we start to congratulate ourselves, it builds momentum. Deborah said, I have a washing machine, a magic washing machine. My husband and son never empty their pockets properly. Got £22 in the seal this week, straight to my styling pot. Love your work and the difference you make. Thank you, Deborah. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. £22 in the seal. Everyone's got to go and check their washing machines now, see if they've got any spare change in there. Amit is saying, strangers, I feel investing and seeing wealth accumulation as a buzz and spending as a low, might be in the minority. No, absolutely not, Amit. So this is just my personal relationship is very spontaneous, and I enjoy spending more than I do saving, or used to. Some people find the complete opposite. Some people find that actually saving and investing is easier than spending, and that would be because you have more of a planning or giving relationship with money rather than spontaneous. So absolutely, you're not in the minority. There is a real, I don't know what the stats are in terms of like percentages, but certainly we do have a different relationships with money. And that's my point, is that if we can make saving, investing more exciting than spending, and vice versa, you might find it difficult to spend money. So your focus might be actually flipping it the other way and trying to make spending exciting as well as saving, so that you can actually feel less guilty when you come to spending money. Learning to remove emotion from finance decisions is a key enabler to focus on wealth accumulation. Absolutely, absolutely. One of the common things that I always say, and I talk about this a lot in my speaker presentations, is that you manage the emotion and you manage the behavior, and then you put the practical aspects in place, and that's where the magic happens. It's about balancing out the practical and the emotional. What I often see with people who are trying to accumulate wealth, or even just deal with any aspect to do with money, is they always focus on the practical aspects first. They think that they need to set a budget or a spending plan. I don't like the word budget, spending plan, but they always think that they should work on the practical aspects first and then work on the emotion. But of course, you can have the most amazing financial plan in place, and if you haven't got the right emotions and behaviors to support it, it's never going to happen. It's never going to stick. Hi, Sharon. Sharon said, I'm very behind with savings and organising my finances. Sad face. So Sharon, the first thing to do around that then is to think about, so that sad face that you're feeling is the emotion that you're feeling because you feel very behind. So think about, what one step could you do today to change that from being behind to taking control? That could be one simple step that you can do straight away, and you're reframing and changing that emotion. Rather than feeling sad, is feeling really happy and proud of yourself that you've taken a step. Sharon, go back and listen to my podcast series 1 I did on the In Her Financial Shoes podcast. There's some great tips in there for you to get started with actually starting to manage your money. And you are not alone, Sharon. It's one of the things that in my Money Circle membership we often talk about very regularly, is that often the first step is the hardest, but once you take one small step and you start to get results and build momentum, then that's when you can start to feel more positively and talk more positively to yourself. There's nothing easier than that little critic in your mind, that inner critic that you will take over and make you feel like you're not good enough and that you're not taking control, when this is absolutely in your control. You can do something about this. So think of what's that one step that you can do, Sharon, today that can help you to move from being behind to being forwards. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed my 5 top tips, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do me a big favor and leave me a comment below this video and let me know, what was your one biggest takeaway? What are you going to do differently as a result of watching today's video? Now, you can go ahead and check out more free resources available to you at the website, which is themoneypanel.co.uk, or please feel free to tune into our weekly podcast on all of the typical podcast channels. That's In Her Financial Shoes. And remember, small steps, big wins.
Let's go.